COVID, it has become the single biggest threat that the humanity has seen at once, at the single point, all together. I mean, we haven't seen such kind of a problem coming and facing the humanity in total. So we haven't seen such kind of situation. We have heard about alien invasions and in sci-fi movies with all kind of destructions and one hero nation coming and saving the others. These are stories we have been coming out with. But we haven't seen a situation where there is a unique enemy with a different method being applied on us, which is stay home, do nothing, so that the crippled economy literally takes us down, and the collateral damages are yet to be seen. So we haven't seen what is happening at the ground level because of we don't have enough free movements. But once situation unfolds, we might see a lot of human tragedy unfolding. With that negativity, let me also start with a positive note that how do we counter this? This entire COVID situation is something that we don't have resistance to it, but we are a super resilient species. In fact, we have seen far more bigger disasters than this. And one important factor I would like to remind everybody is that we should be thanking our ancestors for one good reason, that somewhere during the evolution, something triggered a revolution which someday, somewhere brought us to internet and bandwidth. Imagine yourself locked down without internet at homes. I don't think even Modi could have motivated you. Nothing could have been done about it. So that we should be really thankful that whether there is a virus or not, yes, it could be a human making, but the same human being is capable to give us an internet which is allowing me to talk to more than, I don't know, 150, 202 attendees as I'm seeing now. It's a fantastic achievement for everybody. Now, how are we fighting this entire war against COVID? We are sitting home. We are hearing a lot of news, a super number of debates, n number of trends that we watch, a lot of data we come across, a lot of statistics we come out, a lot of models. We keep hearing these things. I don't think in entire my lifetime, right from my kid to my grandparents, talking about data and statistics on a day-to-day basis, I haven't had this kind of a life ever before. So the topic chosen, we already have a proof of the pudding that data is the new normal now. We're talking data and the science behind it already, and it has become a common sense activity where everybody is discussing it every day. So how do you save ourselves from corona or COVID? I think data is the savior, and hence the relevance of data science is, I don't know how to emphasize it, it's more than ever before. And as humans, if you look at the entire evolution of data science, the urge to know the future, whether it is our folklore or our epics or our legends, if you go back, we always like to see the future. In fact, the live, if you can see the future live, it is the best situation. We have seen n number of readings done on the humans' urge to know the future. But I believe that is where data science and artificial intelligence was born in our minds, and now into the computation capabilities, so that the next generation actually could be able to predict a future coming up. So that's the opening note I would like to start with, a positive note. And Tejas, I think you could help me with some more on that.
Yeah. So, since Vinod talked about data and new normal, so what are these data? What are these statistics that we keep talking about? I have just put some of the points relating to COVID and data on the slide. So the first point is identifying and isolating green, orange, and red zone. So how does government do that? Does government randomly pick up certain zones and do it? No, government has a model, has an agency which creates different models, which gives them all this information. So they have created a chart that okay, so many number of cases, happening within so many days, based on so many different parameters. I'm going to classify these zones as green, orange, and red zones. So, like in start of May, when they announce these three types of zones, total 733 zones we have in India, out of which red were 130, orange 284, green 319. This also helps them manage each of the zones separately. Where do you need more concentration, and where you can open up industries, or where people can go back to work. Right. Second model probably is relating to transmissibility risk model. So transmissibility risk assessment means assessment of the virus and its lifespan across different parameters, and creating rules and regulations which will reduce the risk of transfer of the virus. We keep hearing about wearing of mask. We keep hearing about 6 feet. We keep hearing about 14-day isolation period. So this again comes from the transmissibility risk model. It gives us all this information, and based on which these rules and regulations are created. Incubation period, when we talk about, it is the number of days it takes for COVID-19 to show symptoms. So statistically, we can say that the incubation period for COVID-19 is 1 to 14 days, with a median estimate of 5 to 6 days. What does this mean? In simple words, we can say that the infection symptoms are visible in patient anytime between first day to 14th day, but most of the patient incubation period is around 5 to 6 days. Then mortality rate, that is, what is the percentage of people dying across world? How many people are getting infected and how many people are actually dying because of this? So if you look at these numbers, when we talk about the entire world, the current mortality rate stands at 43.6 people per million population. If you look at nation-wise, the highest mortality rate for countries with minimum more than 1,000 cases is 795 per million, or about 0.8% of the population, which is in Belgium. While we talk about India, the mortality rate is currently 0.003%. That is just 3 people per million. So when we talk about these statistics, when we talk about these things, what is it telling you? It is telling you two things. One, there are lots of models being used by government which help them. Second, it allows them to take a lot of decisions. Vaccines. When we hear about vaccines or medicine trials, and they have passed first or second stage trial, or comments like first vaccine may be available by end of 2020. Are they just speculations? No, they are outputs from scientifically proven statistical and forecasting models. In start of April, government of Maharashtra announced that they plan to have 75,000 quarantine beds for COVID-19 patients in Mumbai alone. Now, when we look at 1st April data, on 1st April, there were less than 200 patients in Mumbai itself. We couldn't have imagined why 75,000 beds would be required. But if we look at today's data, today we have more than 20,000 active cases. And we can see that statistical models have helped a long way to avoid chaos, because government was able to plan better due to prediction made by these models. So this just gives us some information in terms of how statistics and data science is helping governments to take better decisions and do something better in the current situation.